In the past 60 years, our society has transformed computers the size of rooms into small pieces of metal that fit right into the palm of our hands. We have built cars that not only run purely on electricity, but can drive themselves using advanced sensor systems and an AI system that learns like the human mind. We have created delivery systems that allow a person to get anything they could ever desire right from the comfort of their couch. We have created vaccines that teach our cells to make proteins to fight against microscopic viruses and diseases. Yet as we advance technologically, we continue to stay stagnant. We continue to overlook how violence and disunity has become ingrained in our society. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his speech about the state of America in the Black community 60 years ago, and it still seems we need to examine his message and apply his lessons today. In order to understand King's message, we must examine how justice exists in our world. The justice system was created to represent our morals and how we feel about certain actions and how they are justified. Throughout history, we have seen this scale flip back and forth as our ideologies change and new issues are broached. We have seen how this system was used to give out what we believed are the proper punishments for those who violated certain morals. If the morals of the general population were skewed in any way, this unfortunately expressed itself in the justice system. Dr. King, in his 1963 March on Washington speech, mentions how 100 years ago, after the slaves were freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, their freedom was never really earned. There were still laws in place that prevented Black people from advancing, denying them of their American freedoms of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The laws were an extension of the morality at the time, and it was an extension of what people thought Black Americans deserved and how they should be treated. This notion also bled into the Black communities as well, ingraining a sense of unworthiness throughout. It took many years and many people to stand up for the change they wanted to see, not only for themselves, but for their children to come. Now, 60 years later, while we celebrate the achievements of those leaders, we still see the remnants of the issues from the past. While bills were passed, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Act of 1965, how we as Americans view those oppressed by the system is even more resistant to the change than the system that opposed the repressive laws. Justice is not only something that we regulate through the government, but through our unconscious actions. Justice is the only protection we can truly offer ourselves to feel at peace in our community. And when we feel it's tarnished in any way that threatens us, I feel we must push against it. I believe through education, we can achieve true justice and instill into the minds of the leaders of tomorrow. Being educated in our past involves more than just learning about Rosa Parks or Cesar Chavez. We need to know how American functions and how our actions and biases as a society affect each other and each one of us. We need to be more educated to get the full picture so we can not only feel empathetic towards one another, but sympathetic. Like Dr. King preached, we must be united and be able to come together no matter our differences and treat injustices to one as injustices to all. Dr. King talks a lot about how one of the most challenging roadblocks in our stride to freedom are the moderates. These are the people who don't actively participate in our society, but sit on the sidelines and place more value on civil order than creating a just world for all. These are the most dangerous because it's rather easy to fall into this category, especially if the issues don't immediately harm us. While keeping our heads down might provide the comfort and stability that we naturally desire, this way of thinking will ultimately harm us. If we are active in our communities, we can help contribute to the cause and further Dr. King's dream of unity. Our community is made up of vibrant people with minds that twist and tangle into different directions, but together create a beautiful picture of unique diversity. We should be willing to go out and learn from each other, learn from others different than us, and appreciate the differences while actively trying to dismantle our biases and stereotypes. We must go out and experience the community and hear what other people have to say and learn each other's stories. Not only this, but we must be active in our government. Young adults are most likely not to participate in elections because of the overall disinterest in politics and because of its complicated nature. How can our government possibly be representative if we aren't putting in our votes? We must have a unified effort to stay active while exercising our rights as citizens in this country to move towards a brighter future. Lastly, I think one of the most important things we need to implement in the community is creating spaces for everyone. A lot of times people choose not to involve themselves in certain activities because they feel there's no place for them. They feel they won't succeed, so why bother? Making space for everyone isn't just through words, but also through actions. We need to make sure that all cultures feel welcome by educating ourselves in their practices and limiting our judgment. We should accommodate those who come from different points in life and not focus on materialistic things that cloud a person's character. We must also allow minority groups a space to congregate within their own group. We all have different issues we go through. Having unions and associations such as Black unions, Hispanic unions, and Asian unions will help us feel we are heard and seen by others who share similar experiences. Having productive groups to be a part of will further instill the equality that we need the U.S. to represent. Dr. King's speech is recognized by the lines, "Little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And one day, right here in Alabama, little Black boys and little Black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. In his dream, he doesn't want us to become a homogeneous society in which we would disregard our color, but that we embrace it. Our differences shouldn't be a hindrance to our ability to have equal rights, justice, and unity. Little by little, we can all contribute and realize Dr. King's dream.